Welcome back to another episode of LoveTech Live. We're going to dive right in here with a new bot for you guys. We're going to be going over the Bing image bot here, and we have two different flavors. The first one just does a search, and it downloads all the images. The second one goes to some search results, and it'll click through one at a time, and it downloads all of the related images. So that one's kind of interesting. So let's comment out the second one first. We'll do a Bing image search for Flight of the Conchords meme. We load jQuery up. We're for this first run, let's comment this out. So we're not going to do any downloading yet. But let's run this so I can show you what it does. Alright, so it does the search, and it'll continue to scroll down. And if it hits the bottom of the page and there's a button that says show more results, it'll click that button and scroll down even more. So it's just a good old while loop, so we can process all these images. Alright. So now we'll add the download, and let's kick this off. And we have an image folder inside the project folder, and we're going to be saving all the images into that folder. And we'll be going through exactly how the code works. And all the code is available. Let me try that again. I don't think I hit play. There it goes. Sorry about that. All of the code is available, by the way. It's in the description section. It's just lovetech.io/bots. Go there, and there's lots of different code from the other episodes in the series. If you've never used Selenium before to drive your browser and automate your tasks, it's a great tool. All the links that you need are in the description section of this video. It'll teach you how to, as well as in the pilot episode of this series, where we go through setting up Eclipse and Chrome, the Chrome bot, the exe driver, and so on. But it's a powerful way to crawl as a user, essentially, because the website doesn't know that you're not just somebody browsing their site. It also allows you to log in, so you can check out some of the other videos in this series where we log into Twitter and we show some love to people doing good tweets. So we already have 200 items in this folder here. I'd say that's a success. So we'll kill this thing. Let's make sure everything came down all right by opening. Nice. So we got all these nice memes here. So I'd say that's a home run. Let's delete this folder. We'll fill it with some other stuff though. Don't you worry. Actually, before we dive into the part 2, let's go through the code. So the first thing it calls is search Bing images, which does exactly what it says, but as a learning opportunity, let's look at that. All it does is it goes to the Bing homepage, goes right here, and then it runs a little JavaScript that fills this box up. This is the console down here, which is a great way to write your scripts for your automation and test it before you automate it. So what we're going to do here is document.getElement by ID. And that gives us an element, and then we can do .value equals let's search for Keith Richards. So that fills that, you see up here. And now a really cool trick whenever you're dealing with forms online, if it's actually a form that you're trying to submit and it has an ID, this ID is good in JavaScript. That gives you a form element. And with this form element, you can call the submit function. And since we filled in the value up in the form, when we fire the form off, it just does a search. So we see all these pictures of Keith Richards looking a little bit old looking. There's some young ones too. Alright, so in part 2 of this episode, oh, okay, let's keep going through the code, sorry. So once we do our nice search, it waits a second so that we don't process it before it's ready. Then we load up jQuery so that we have a really nice expressive way to query the DOM. If you've never used jQuery before, stay tuned, subscribe. We'll be doing some more episodes on that in the future. So while this next function just gives us gives us a nice while loop to leverage. So we're calling this load more content function, and we give it the driver. And while this is returning true, well, that means there's more content, and we're scrolling. So the way that we scroll and to determine if any new content was loaded is as follows. We get the start height, which is just document's height. Then we scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, and we sleep for 2 seconds. At that point, we get another height measurement, and this is stored as end height. If there's no difference between the two, there is no additional content, and we return false, and we stop that big loop. Otherwise, we loaded some more content, and we'll try again. And so this works really well. We also, within each of these loops, we click if there's a more image button, and we download all the new images that we encounter. Let me show you this function. Basically, all it does is it queries on all of our images, basically the thumbnails, because it has this thumbnail class that don't have this downloaded class. And this is a custom class that is being added by us after we process each element. So we're only processing new elements. We don't step on our toes or do anything twice. Thumb links is an array this is what we're building up here, and we're adding this add object which has an href, an image URL, and the thumb URL source, and that gets pushed onto thumb links, which gets passed back, and then we have an array list that we can crawl or that we can iterate over. So for each of the elements in AL, we get a map, which is the object at that element. And this is the key property that we care about that we built up here. The way we get this is kind of interesting. You can see on all of these searches on this A class, this link, or sorry, the A tag, there's this M property. Attribute M is equal to, and it has this M URL, which is the URL of the original image. As you know, Bing does not actually host these images. They make little thumbnails and they host the thumbnails, but the original image belongs and resides on that home page. So on this example, it's saga.com or sagacom.com. It looks like a WordPress site. There's Keith. So we don't even have to click on any of these images, and it will continually add on to our array all of the final URLs. So then we just do one final swoop with the Java, saving off all these images. We detect which type they are. If they're JPEGs, we do one thing. If they're PNGs, we store it as .png. We put it in that images folder. And let's go to that images folder. Oh, it's empty right now. Okay. So that's that. That's demo 1, demo A. Let's move to part 2. In this example, we take an image result set, a search set. So let's search for Mick Jagger. Okay, so here's Mick Jagger, and we're gonna look at the results thing. So once you get to this view here, with these thumbnails at the bottom, this is all a one-page app, which is pretty cool. Like, look up here at the tab, the page doesn't refresh, it's just all dynamic content. And you can click on these tabs down here to navigate around. I'm sure a lot of you have already used this or are familiar with this type of interface. But for every image that you click, like this is kind of a black and white image, and based on the tags and the image aesthetics, it'll give you all these suggested what they call related images. Sometimes you'll get related products if it's like a shopping related item. And then if you clicked on one of these, it'll give you even more. So what our script does is it takes a result set here. So if I click on this first one and copy the URL, this is what we start with. And it's going to go image by image, scrolling down, loading any additional image if they're here. And it's going to save all of these related images to that drive, to that folder. So let's try it here. For the first run here, just because it's faster if we don't actually save the images, let's just watch it. Watch it crawl here. So you can see it's loading the images, clicking thumb by thumbnail, and then it's not going to be quite as fast, but we'll run this again, and this time we'll fill that folder up and we'll download everything. See, we're still processing this first page. But it just keeps diligently plugging away here. And the code for this example is similar as well. And we'll go through that. It looks like it moved on to the second tab, or the third tab here, which is good. Let's look at the code while it's thinking. Basically, it gets the URL as before, it loads jQuery. It calls the JavaScript to see how many thumbnails there are on the page. Remember, there are going to be more loaded later, especially when there's long pages that keep doing additional loads. So there's this big do while loop that overrides the whole operation here. And we get the next thumb. We click on it and we scroll down, and that loads all of the related images to that image. And then we have this function or method called download all related images, which is just like before. We have this thumb links array. We select all of our image thumbs. For each of these image thumbs, we get some key properties, the most important being the image URL. We push this back to the Java. It comes across as an array list AL. For every element within this array list, we get the element as a map, and that allows us to access this attribute image URL. Then we try to open that image up, we get the first bytes to see what type it is. If it's one of these three main types, JPEG, PNG, or GIF, we know what the extension is and we save it off. So let's go back to see how it's going. And we've got over 100 items here, many of which are Mick Jagger or related to Jagger. So that's something. If you need some images and you need a bot to download images for different topics, or if you're putting together a search engine, you would want to do a lot more extraction of tags. You might even want to go to each of these pages and get a text search vector of all that body content. But this is just kind of if you need to grab a bunch of images off of Bing Image. But we'll have more coming. Leave your requests in the comment section below, and we're more likely to get to those. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you out there. Keep on crawling. All right. Peace.